The office is on the 19th floor of 1 M&T Plaza. Piles of documents, stacked in a system only Bob Wilmers exactly understood, line the wall behind the desk. From that vantage point, Wilmers could glance down at Coca-Cola Field. It was especially helpful when his son served as a bat boy for the Buffalo Bisons, almost 30 years ago. On his desk, to the right, is a mug from the Westminster Community Charter School, a Wilmers passion. He used the mug for water, never coffee. To the left rests a small clock and a calculator, along with 8 sharpened pencils and 8 yellow legal pads. Wilmers used an iPad, but not a desktop computer. Given his choice, above all else, he preferred pencils. He'd jot down thoughts in black and white composition notebooks. He kept them in an old leather briefcase, never far out of reach. He was frugal, said Jerry Kozlowski, his longtime executive assistant in Buffalo. He didn't want to replace something if it still had use. He was the only boss I ever had who never threw out paper clips. Many executives use a chair that lifts them higher than visitors. Wilmers did the opposite. His chair had been around for so long that his hands wore imprints in the leather armrests. It seemed as if he sank lower and lower into it, over the years. Finally, on his behalf, Kozlowski asked some maintenance workers to see what they could do. The chair was beyond help. Wilmers accepted that he needed a new one. It was on order he never had a chance to try it. At 83, Wilmers died unexpectedly last Saturday in New York City, where he spent part of each week. M&T has named Renee F. Jones as his successor. Jerry Kozlowski with the chair Bob Wilmers used for as long as she knew him. Note the imprints worn into the armrests by his hands. Sharon Cantillon/Buffalo News. For a while, amid the shock, no one is touching Wilmers' office. I don't want to cry, Kozlowski said. She hopes he would have approved of the message she wants to convey. She knew Wilmers as quiet and precise, a guy who often deflected credit. He was also the kind of citizen banker whose distinct, unyielding and passionate philosophy on regional banking, specifically on Buffalo and upstate New York, turned him into a legendary figure. Wilmers did multimillion-dollar business in that office, tapping out big numbers on the calculator. He also had countless discussions about arts institutions and a fragile economy and the fate of children in struggling schools. End of an era. M&T's Robert Wilmers, force in community, dies at 83. Regional leaders, sometimes national or even international leaders, met him in that building. He had a sweeping and stubborn sense of purpose, a throwback to the era when a prominent banker with a larger mission could forge and project a civic personality. On a quiet Friday, 3 days before Christmas, Kozlowski and Mike Zabel, the group vice president for corporate communications at M&T, opened up his office for one reason. They believe the simplicity, in its own way, becomes a eulogy. Kozlowski, 73, spent a dozen years with Wilmers. She pointed out a giant plant near his desk.